Yo, Nate. What's good, bro?
It's good.
All right. Getting everything together?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good shit.
Straight. What's good? What's good? This your boy Jay Fields. This is the very, very first Kinda Famous podcast, and I'm here with a special guest, a big homie, a OG, John Gotty.
Oh, what's good? What's going on? What's going on?
Man, thanks for coming through.
Glad to be here.
I know that.
Hold on, I'm kind of pissed off because I still don't have a Kind of Famous shirt. Everybody around me posts their shirt. You pull up on everybody else and kind of give them their shirt. I don't have a Kind of Famous shirt.
Man, we in the works, man. It's in the works. It's in the works real soon.
It's in the works.
Yeah, I know that's like the worst thing somebody can say is like real soon. It's coming soon.
I'm just
It's like
saying,
an
like
album, right?
I see so many of them on my Instagram, on your Instagram stories, and I'm like, dang, everybody got a Kind of Famous shirt except for me.
Well, you wear like the most popular size.
Okay,
It's
what's that mean?
XL.
But I'm supposed to be like the most popular person on your list. If I'm
You right.
doing the inaugural person on your podcast, it seems like I would have. But it's cool.
Nah, we gonna get it to you. We gonna get it to you.
It's straight.
But yeah, like I said, man, I'm glad to have you here. I know our schedules have been between me, you, the engineer, our camera guys. This is my first time ever doing something like this. I think it's yours as well, man. So I'm excited for this process. Excited to see what comes from this. So I kind of wanted to just kind of get into just a little bit of your background. I know that a lot of people from a Nashville standpoint, they admire you, they look up to you. I would say you're a foundation guy, and but a lot of people don't know, how you were able to, establish where you were. And so I kind of wanted to just dive into your background, some of the moves you made, and how you got to where you were or where you are now. So where are you from exactly?
I'm originally from Winchester, Tennessee. I'm a small town guy originally. I came up here in '94 to go to college, go to TSU, and been here ever since. Stayed up here in this area ever since. So
Okay. What was TSU like in '94?
great. Super great. I mean, it was a fun time because Nashville was still small in a sense, I guess you would say. I can't remember how many years when did the Titans first come here?
I want to say like '99 or 2000.
Yeah, I was about to say it was like it predated the Titans era. So it was like Nashville was still small. I mean, but it was just a fun time, especially with me coming from Winchester. It was definitely like a bigger city in my eyes. So I had a lot of fun with it. And, it was a great time. '94 was like a great time. It was like a golden year in hip hop. '94, if you think about it, like before '94, I think I went to my first Freaknik in maybe I went to the real Freaknik. Make note of that. I went to the real Freaknik. And I was in high school. So then by the time I got to college and went to Freaknik, it was just like all bets are off. I could do whatever I wanted to. So, it was just a really fun period in time.
Okay, so one thing that kind of stood out, you said it was like a golden era in hip hop.
Yes.
How were you guys getting music back then? With us, it's somebody drop, we got it instantly. We can plug in or, just play it on our phone right away. So how were you guys in tune to music? How did you guys, make it a part of your collection?
Magazines kind of put you up on like who was hot, on a broad level. We were still buying like physical copies. You were still buying like tapes and CDs, even tapes. In '94, you were still buying tapes sometimes. You were kind of in between that point where we switched from cassettes to CDs. So like you were either buying tapes or CDs on the new music day. And then of course, we used to cop from Tower when it used to be over there close to Elliston Place and Broadway, I guess, over there by Vandy. And then we also used to buy from like Soundstream on Clarksville Highway, New Life. Like there were all the local record shops that you could buy from. You could buy from the mall. And then like, especially being in college for me, you had a lot of guys from other areas who brought their listening taste and their influence. And a lot of them were either DJs or they were tapped in. Like there were a lot of guys who were tapped in from New York and New Jersey. So they were constantly getting tapes shipped down. And with that, that introduced you to a lot of artists way before they were mainstream. So like imagine listening to like early Jay before the world knew who Jay was, or listening to early Big before the world knew who Big was. And I guess when you think about it in the larger scheme of things, that probably helped set the stage for the things I did later on in life with
Yeah.
media when it comes to running the music blog and everything. I was used to kind of being able to pinpoint what was going to be the next wave musically or who was going to be the next big thing musically. And part of it, how part of that came from, you know, those college days of getting tapes, getting DJ tapes down from New York.
Nice. Nice. So at what point did you get into blogging, I guess?
Oh,
Like, is that a big gap from like 94 to when it started?
there's definitely a huge gap. And I always say, like, probably, I'm older than you. I'm 43, you know, no shame in my game. I'm 43. So, like, maybe your generation grew up with the internet and we kind of had to adapt to the internet.
Right.
So, like, the internet has probably, like, been a daily part of what you do your whole life.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't that way for me. I think when the internet really started picking up was maybe, and I'm very bad with dates and times, but I would probably say around 97, 98, somewhere off in there was like when you were used to checking your email every day,
Right.
hopping on instant messenger to talk to your friends in various places. So then around 2000, I was doing you know, we had one of the first sites that was reselling shoes very early in that whole thing because shoes is just as much a part of my journey as music
Right.
is. So we were doing that 2000, 2001, 2002 was when it started getting really big. Shoes did, getting saturated. By 2003, 2004, that had kind of played out a little bit. But I was so used to the internet being part of my day that I want to say around 2004, 2005, like one of my homeboys, he was like, yo, you should start a blog. Because what I was doing was, like, I had a small group of friends. Like, I was always tapped in with getting music early, getting the mixtapes, leaks, whatever. And I would email each day a group of friends, maybe like 15 to 20 of them. And one of the people in that email group was like, yo, you should start a blog. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck is a blog? Like, it's a blog. And he kind of explained it to me and then started blogging. And from there, everything just kind of rolled downhill.
So when you blogged, was it more so content driven, or was it just kind of like your mental space and your personal opinion on, whether it be the shoes or the music?
Uh, I think initially it was content driven, at least for my perspective. It was always the content first, like, because of course this is that version of the internet where you wanted to be first.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just like a small competition, whether you had the song first or whether you went to a certain artist first, whatever, talking about this album before it came out, like you wanted that first thing. But one of the things I kind of figured out along the way is being here, you're not necessarily fully tapped into the entertainment industry or the music industry compared to somebody in New York, LA, etc., even Atlanta maybe. So it's like you kind of had to add some of yourself to the mixture to give it that added flavor. And that's where the personal side, being able to create that perspective and share that perspective became a key layer to it.
Okay. So the reason why I asked that is, as you know, because we've had a lot of conversations about it. Listeners may not know this. I had to start a blog for class, and this podcast is somewhat a part of that blog. And for me, I'm trying to find my voice as far as a writer and how I communicate with my audience. And I've noticed that I've kept everything extremely simple outside of the letter to Kobe, one or two sentences, and just focusing on the content. I think one of the best skill sets you have is being a storyteller. And I kind of want to like talk about that, the background into that. How did you, hone those skills? Was it, early childhood development in elementary school and middle school with the writing? Was it courses you took in college, or did it happen, when you started your blog and you kind of wanted to tailor it and be a little bit more personal?
It really happened by chance, to be quite honest with you. And I'm probably more of a reader, especially starting out and even still today. I've always been a reader more so than a writer. I majored in English, of course, with teacher certification when I was in college. And I mean, I knew how to write, but I never consciously said, like, yo, I'm going to be a writer. I mean, it just, it's maybe like that kid who doesn't start playing basketball till high school. And then everybody's like, oh shit, this kid can hoop. And then he messes around and gets a scholarship or whatever. That's basically how it played out. But I think I always say that one of the best ways to become a writer is to be a good reader. And like when I read, I know that it's, especially now, I take in the words on a different level than most people do. Like one, I'm reading it for entertainment, but then I can be reading a sentence and I'm sitting there noticing the structure of that sentence, like the emotion and the tone and the delivery that they're using, the word choice. So it's like for one side, I can read it from an entertainment level. The other side, I'm going from an analytical level, like analyzing it. And it's almost like anything else. If you think of maybe a artist, a musician, they could hear somebody else do something and then they go and try to incorporate it into their music. Like, yo, let me see if I can hit that note like them, or let me see if I can flip that phrase or, master that delivery like they did. Same thing happens with reading a lot of time. Like I'm reading and I'm like, yo, I think I could do something similar to that. And then I'll go out and practice it and try it. So,
So you mentioned reading. Any book plugs? Any book recommendations?
right now, I was on the reading thing at the beginning of the year, but I've kind of slacked back and gone to reading a lot of articles, especially right now because I'm doing research. So it's like I'm having to read more articles and dig on that end. Oh, I mean, there's so many good books out nowadays, man. It's really just about like what your interests are. And for me, I think I'm a big fan of autobiographies, biographies, anything except science fiction. Like I'm liable to pick it up and try to read it. So the last good thing I read, I'd have to think about that. I don't want to lie to you. I know one of the last good books I read last year, and it kind of blew me away, was You God from Wu Tang
Okay.
produced or wrote an autobiography that was really good. I read this book called LeBron Inc., which was Brian Windhurst. I think he works at ESPN.
Is he like big Boston guy?
Oh, I don't know. Like, I don't really know his own, I mean, his TV persona, but I
Yeah.
know he's like a huge sports guy, ESPN, recognizable. He went through and like examined LeBron's business moves
Okay.
as they paralleled his life on the court. And I mean, that book was great, man. I mean, he really, a lot of people don't realize like how smart LeBron and his team are and how calculated
Yeah.
they are. Because when you think about LeBron, outside of the decision, you really haven't seen LeBron have any major public missteps
Mm.
along the way. And even the decision, I mean, it depends on how you look at it, like
Right.
how you interpret it. Because a lot of times, and this is one of those things that I picked up here recently. What was LeBron's catchphrase or the thing that he said at the decision? I'm taking my talents to Cleveland.
South Beach. Yep.
South Beach,
Yeah.
taking
Yeah.
my talents to South Beach. You know, when Kobe passed recently, they started replaying clips throughout his career. What did Kobe say when he was a rookie? I mean, when he was in high school? I'm taking my talents to the NBA.
Mhm.
Nobody eviscerated Kobe for saying that. We kind of laughed at him. So it's like it's all really how you interpret. Like LeBron and them, they did that whole thing. And you know who got money off of that thing?
Nike.
Well, not Nike, the Boys and Girls Club.
That's major.
The Boys and Girls Club. So like they did that whole thing, that whole presentation with a kickback going to, or donations or whatever, going to the Boys and Girls Club. So it's like when seeing him break down LeBron's business was really good in that book. I recommend it to anybody, even if you're not a LeBron fan. It's just highly entertaining. All the Pieces Matter by Jonathan Abrams. I'm a huge Wire fan. I'm one of those people who watched or ended up watching the first episode of The Wire. When I just happened to flip it on and caught it, got hooked. And that show was great writing. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen it or familiar with it, probably heard people talk about it. It's like really great writing. When Abrams breaks down, because what he did is he got everybody who was involved. I'm talking about from actors, directors, Burns, all these guys, even the people who were doing the styling and everything. He got them to all break down what went into the making of The Wire and the level of detail that went into that show. I don't think there'll be a show to top it. Like there hasn't been a show to top it since it went out. I don't know if there will be a show that tops it. And when he talks about in this book, it just really just blows you away how intricate that show was written.
Yeah, I can admit I'm still wet behind the ears on that one, man.
On
I
The
have
Wire,
not. Yeah, I wanna watch
you
it.
watch Snowfall?
Watch Snowfall.
Okay, think
Yep.
of Snowfall. And part of Snowfall feels sort of make-believe.
Yeah.
Like some of it, like you do have to stretch your imagination. It is historical. It does have the drug dealer shit going on. The Wire didn't feel like fantasy at all.
Super real.
Super real. Like you could see it and understand, like, they're describing the political system in Baltimore. They're describing the school system in Baltimore. And you can see parallels to just about any major metropolitan area. And you could be like, this is real. Like you probably can't imagine Snowfall taking place
Yeah.
elsewhere. The Wire did the drug dealing shit, but it had so many other layers to it too that were super intricate.
I got spring break next week. And I'm gonna tap in on that one. I'm gonna tap in on that one, man.
It's great. It's
Tap in
great.
on that one. One of the things that you said, which stuck out to me when you were talking about just the beginning of the internet and when you created your blog about being first. I think today people have that same mindset, but there's a lot more users.
Right.
And a lot of times there can be misinformation that's put out into the world because people want to be first rather than be correct. As a writer, as a blogger, as a media guy, as a voice, how do you feel about that? Do you have any ideas to how we can?
Of course, I got ideas. Got ideas about everything. I told you that when you invited me up here. Number one, I always make the distinction that I'm a writer and not a journalist, because a journalist is somebody who went to school and got a journalism degree, or they put in their 10,000 hours. So I always make the distinction that I'm a writer, but I go by some of the rules associated with journalism. And I think, like, I don't believe in rushing to put information out, or I don't believe in the idea of not doing some fact checking before you put information out. And that's just because I'm just somebody who values honesty and the truth. And, and here we'll go back to Kobe. Prime example, like, if you think about who broke that news first related to Kobe's
TMZ.
death. TMZ.
Yeah.
I always tell people, I think the reporting of the news changed when TMZ broke Michael Jackson's death, whatever year that was. Because prior to that, what was TMZ considered?
Like a gossip situation. Yeah.
And it was like, we can't trust TMZ. They gossip and all that stuff. But TMZ got Michael Jackson's death right. And they had gotten a lot of stuff right prior to them, but nobody really took them seriously. I remember the day they broke because, of course, I was blogging then. You had to keep up with the news. Nobody else was willing to go on record and say Michael Jackson had died for like maybe a full, like I remember CNN and like the major stations coming behind maybe an hour and a half, almost 2 hours behind TMZ. Because they were left scrambling like, we have to fact check everything. Mm-hmm. We have to make sure that it's credible. TMZ was like, we don't give a fuck. They always knew their information was right.
Right.
Like they always knew it was right or credible. And if they got it wrong, guess what? They were publishing 80 other things that day. So if they missed on one, they got 70 other 9 things going and swept under
Hmm.
the rug. Even something the level of Michael Jackson's death. If they would have got it wrong, everybody would have still just been like, TMZ is just a gossip place. Probably wouldn't have mattered at all. But the fact that they got it right and they were so far ahead of everybody else, I think that sort of set the trend on a mainstream level, on a reporting level, where it's sort of like even now you'll see where they'll put out information, like some of these news stations or whatever put out information without doing their due diligence.
Right.
And like I mean, I hate it because
Yeah.
you do get so much misinformation, and especially with social media and how quickly word travels now. Once information is out there, it's out there.
Hmm.
Personally, I don't want to be the one who put bad information out
Yeah.
there. So I'm going to say allegedly, supposedly, reportedly. This shit could be wrong, but here's what I know right now.
Hmm.
Whereas just throwing it out there, like, nah.
Yeah. I think it has to be some type of penalty, like the Rick Fox situation with Kobe.
Yeah, Rick Fox died and came back to
Yeah,
life in like a matter of 2 hours,
it's
man.
like you got to be, I don't know if it's your outlet or whoever you're working for, but it's got to be some type of
There needs to be integrity.
yeah.
Like, I still believe, honestly, like, I don't believe being first matters as much as what it used to.
Mhm.
Now I think that you want to be trustworthy. Like, you
Right.
want to have that integrity. So, like, when you do say something, people know that it's accurate, especially now in the situation we're in with political times. It's like you have to make sure that what you're doing is fair, balanced, and accurate. Like, you can't just throw information out there. You can't throw opinions out there. They have to be grounded or founded in something. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that's more important than being first nowadays. And when you talk about from a blogging perspective, like on your end, I would say go further than writing 1 or 2 lines. Like, do the Kobe thing, because I can go get a story anywhere,
Hmm.
but I can't get your story from anywhere except for you.
Right.
So like when you have somebody's time, you have to give them something of value. And you're not a news outlet. You're a person.
Mhm.
Like, you may represent something, but at the same time, like, people know that behind the scenes, like, yo, this is the person running this. And they want to tap into, where you're at and see if it aligns with what they're thinking. I think somebody, especially now, and I had this conversation with somebody the other day, I think people are always looking for somebody who has a shared experience similar to theirs. So, like, you may post something on Instagram and think nobody's reading. The guy over there may be reading it and it's like, damn, it hit him in the heart because he's going through the same thing and he relates to you. Same thing with your blog. It's like, yo, put that emotion in there, put those thoughts out there, and I guarantee you'll grab more people
Hmm.
than just randomly just throwing little bits and pieces out there. Like, open up, be you.
Yeah. So this is, as you guys can see, this is why I try to talk to Gotty every day. Even though sometimes I'm
You
calling,
don't listen.
he like, what do you want, man? What do you want? You got 5 minutes, man. Tell me what you want. You have, what it seems to me, have evolved as a person and changed into a unique role as far as just being a big homie, but not the big homie from afar where you are just extremely judgmental. You are 10 toes down with, my generation as far as the movers and shakers, whether it be musicians or, creatives, photographers, videographers, people with brands, people with new businesses. What does that role feel like to you? Being in that new space, being someone who people value your opinion or your ideas.
I don't know. I mean, I know and I appreciate the idea of being the big homie, but I don't know. I look at all y'all like y'all food. Like, I'm not like I'm not so far removed that we're
Yeah,
not competing for the same eyeballs and stuff like that,
yeah,
as far as I'm concerned. Um, I enjoy it. Uh, and I think, especially when you look at it from a hip hop side of things, like, rap is typically not considered to be an old man's game. So I still, I'm listening to new artists daily, just like everybody else. When New Friday comes, I'm listening just like everybody else. Um, And I always tell people, like, I never want to get old.
Yeah.
Like, just don't. Like, I enjoy living too much to get in some boxed in 9 to 5. This is what you're supposed to do when you reach this age. I got to where I'm at by not listening to what people said that I should do. So I'm like, why should I start paying attention to you motherfuckers now? Like, it's still working for me.
Right.
So, I mean, I love staying tapped in, tuned in, and I love helping people and being supportive as well. So it's like, if I can offer you something, offer you an opportunity, offer you advice, et cetera, like, that brings me a lot of joy.
Yeah.
That's why I really stay tapped in.
Okay.
Because a lot of people my age, most of them do have the wife, the kids, the regular square life. And I'm a square. Like, I'm happy to be a square because a lot of my friends didn't make it here. So when people are like, yo, you washed, I'm like, motherfucker, I'm glad to be washed because my best friend is dead. My other best friend is dead. I'm happy to be here.
Right.
So, like, don't ever get it twisted. I'm glad to be 43. But I don't want to be stuck in that dad role, the husband role, the 9 to 5 role. Like, I like the creative energy and being able to move around and do multiple things at once and be over here in these thriving lanes. I enjoy that a lot. So it keeps me going.
Nice. So do you remember how we met?
I can't even remember what I ate last night. So I got like the world's worst memory. I think you told me something about working on a show. That's about all I can. Mick Jenkins, I think, is what you told me.
Yep. So it's funny, like
I didn't know you before Mick Jenkins.
I think we had been, well, I know for sure we've been in the same rooms, but like you always had this mystery about yourself, essentially, because you're
There was no mystery. Y'all
Yeah,
were
yeah.
just
Like, he had
I
this-
just don't see him out. I'm like, dog, I'm outside. I'm just a different spot than what y'all
the
were.
social media putting a face with the name,
Oh yeah, that's something different.
because for the longest, when I got involved with Twitter, it was a Avi of the actual John Gotti, right?
Correct.
And I'm like, man, who is this dude that's like extremely opinionated? And he gonna let you know how he feel. I'm like, all right, he's a good follow.
I hate it when I had to reveal I had to reveal myself or start playing into the idea of social media where you have to reveal yourself. Because I was perfectly fine just being the old white guy, according to the Avi. Like, I was perfectly fine being that. But then they were like, nah, it's a different time. You got to show your face.
Yeah, I always thought you was a old white man that just
That's what everybody thought.
really loved hip hop and sneakers. And so I used to run with Deshaun Smith a lot when I was like 18, 19 years old. And he used to, shoot a lot of the events at my
You were in one of those Questlove photos.
Exactly.
I saw that a few months back, and I was like, Fields was there that
yeah,
day?
so Love Noise.
You were number 17 years old. How'd you get in the club?
Yeah, so Deshaun used to kind of like sneak me in.
Right in here. They
Yeah.
sell liquor in. You gonna call somebody to lose their liquor license, boy.
So yeah, I remember that picture. It's like me, you, Eric Holt, Deshaun, Freddie.
Everybody was around. Oh,
Yep.
excuse me. Everybody was around.
Yep.
And there you were on the side. And I was like, yo, what is this dude doing in the middle of all this stuff, man?
And so I think that was the first time I put a face with the name, and was like, okay, that's John Gotti. All right, cool. Yeah, he don't really talk, but he talk a lot on the internet, but he don't really talk out here.
Try to stay out of the way, man, honestly.
And then I started seeing you like at like, Fat Caps when they had artists in town. I think you guys were doing a lot of the early shows, putting those on. For me, growing up in Nashville, being 18, 19, and like hip hop going through that Renaissance period, with your Currencies, Wiz, Mac Miller's, Big Sean, Big Crit, and having those people come through the city and you guys kind of being behind that with Fat Caps.
The blog era rappers, all those guys you just mentioned, the blog era.
Yeah, and so it's funny, like when you were talking about, being at TSU and, being hip to music, I like to connect that with my freshman experience and getting on the internet every day. I remember it was this website called currenthiphop.com, and it was like between Wale, Drake, J. Cole, Wiz, Big Sean, Currency, somebody gonna give you a song.
Right.
It seemed like it was a song dropping every day. And so, but going back to, like how we connected.
Yo, let me stop you 1 second.
What you got?
I still got excited last night when Drake randomly dropped those songs.
Me too. I was on the phone.
That's why I'm like, yo, most people in my age bracket probably wouldn't even known they dropped. It wouldn't be up at 11, 12 o'clock. watching the shit, watching the video, listening to it. But I still get excited when something like I love that spontaneity. I love the way that stuff moves.
I was on the phone and we was like, "Hey, Drake just dropped. Let me
Let
call
me hit
you
you
back.
back. Let me hit you right
Let me
back.
hit you back." And so yeah, I mean, I think that was a special time. I mean, a lot of those guys released so much music for free,
Right.
and they networked. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm in Pittsburgh. I got to tap in with Wiz. Like, let's get a song together. Or like, I'm in Detroit. I got to tap in with Sean. That era, in my opinion, you know, everybody thinks their era is the best. I think that was the best era of hip hop as far as just the in between and the love and passion of it. And you had to be able to rap. Like 2010, 2011, after J dropped
It was still about
DOA,
bars and
you had
things
to
like
have
that.
bars, man. And I'm not gonna like, down the music now. I'll just kind of leave it there.
I mean, it's different.
It's
It's not different in a bad way. I mean, it's truly,
Yeah,
it's
it's
evolved. It's
unique.
different. It's in a different space right now.
Yeah, I know. One thing Mike Floss always says is like rap or like hip hop needs subgenres.
It does.
Like you can't put this artist in the same.
It's not that it needs them. They exist.
Yeah,
It's just on listeners and fans to embrace the idea
right.
that all rap is not created equally, because it's not. Like, it's not aimed at the same people. Like, I was listening to, I got an advance listen to, say, Jadakiss's album. I think it drops on Friday. That album is not going to be aimed at my 14-year-old son. He don't want to hear that shit. Like, if he can't sing along to it, he doesn't want it. Like, so everything is targeted to different people, different groups. But like, a lot of times we can't make that distinction that those things have to be separated,
Right.
or they should be separated to be properly enjoyed.
Yeah, it was just everybody just kind of throw it in the same box.
Right.
You know.
I remember when Kanye had Sean sitting on the bench forever, and I was a big early Sean, like the what's that first song? Is it the Detroit People Mover? The
People Mover was cold. That's on the first. That's
that
on the
was
first
like, what,
mixtape.
2006, 2007.
Yeah.
And I was like, Sean is gonna be the one. Sean is gonna be the one. And then he signed with good music. I was like, yeah, he's about to take off. That man sat on the bench, and I was like, man, Sean ain't going. No, Kanye done fumbled the ball, and then somehow or another, like, it clicked, and now Sean is Sean.
Yeah.
Which I think is really dope. And that's one of the cool things about that era as well.
I think all those guys had to figure it out for themselves. Like, I think it's easy to say, oh, well, J. Cole, you got signed to Roc Nation, or Sean, you got signed to Good Music, or no, Wale, you with Roc Nation. But it's just like, yeah, we gonna give you the contract and the opportunity, but you still got to put the pieces together. Ain't nobody holding your hand.
They shouldn't have never signed to another rapper, but that's a whole other conversation to begin with.
Yeah, I mean,
I think when you sign to another artist,
they need to be done with their artistry.
Right, it needs to be something like that,
Yeah.
where they're not, like, sometimes your career doesn't have to take such a big back seat. Like, Sean took a big back seat to Kanye for the longest time.
Right.
Before things finally worked out. Like,
and that's one of those things.
Cole had to emerge from Jay's shadow.
Yeah.
And like Jay and them, he always said that Jay and them kind of steered him one direction on that first album. He went that direction. He wasn't satisfied, and he was like, yo, let me try to do this.
Right.
And you see where it's gotten him.
Yeah.
When he did his route.
And I think it's like I said, they had to take it upon themselves. Like, nah,
that ain't me.
This ain't me. I feel like Sean's first album, they tried to make a lot of hits, and Detroit was that next one, and that was really his sound. When you listen to J. Cole, I came up on like the warm up and Friday Night Lights. Yeah. And so when you hear like just bars, not the 16 hook, 16 structure, get an R&B dude on the hook, I think that was kind of the end of the label, where they're trying to like, all right, we're trying to force this into commercial sound.
They're making songs. I think I always say that Atlantic used to be, and they gave a shit for that one time making that statement, but Atlantic used to be heavy on that, like forcing artists to make certain songs, or like getting somebody to cut a song and then shop it to Lupe, shop it to Wiz, shop it to, multiple artists on the label, trying to get them to make that song. That's how, I think B.O.B., or is it Lupe that was supposed to make, no, excuse me, not B.O.B. I think Lupe was supposed to make Airplanes, which was like, B.O.B.'s big hit with Haley from Paramore. You
It's
don't
not
remember.
clicking.
Everybody else remember. You just have a shitty memory.
Y'all know
Or
that
the
with
thing,
airplanes?
airplanes and shooting star.
Oh, yeah.
The chick
Okay.
Haley from Paramore sung on the hook. It was like a big song for him. Like it
Right.
broke him out at the time. But Lupe came out behind the scenes and was like, yo, airplanes is supposed to be for me, but I didn't want that shit.
Yeah.
And Lupe has always been very standoffish and honest about
Honest.
things.
Yeah.
And he kind of outed them on that. And kind of find out that Lupe had a first shot at all these guys were Atlantic artists. Lupe, Wiz both denied, like, nah, I don't want it. B.O.B. took it. They gave him a nice little jumpstart this career. But you had a lot of that where they're trying to force them into making songs. And as much as they push back, that generation pushed back, I almost feel like this current crop of artists or where we're at right now, like they're happily making songs that sound
Right.
just like each other and what's on the radio.
Yeah, because they make their own rules. And I think it's funny how, you tell an artist, man, we need a hit, we need a hit, we need a hit, we need a single.
Right.
And it's like, dude, all these is hits. Why you think people know about me? You know what I'm saying? Now, it may not be able to flow through the radio, but then it's just like, times were changing. We were listening to mixtapes. We was listening to live mixtapes. I remember you go to live mixtapes, you download the mixtape,
I
you
was
add
a
it to
that
your
big
Apple
guy for the
Music.
record.
You add it to your Apple Music, iPod. We
Right.
had the iPod Touch. And like all the songs we were listening to, you really couldn't get a hard copy unless you went to their show, from Cushion Orange Juice to More About Nothing.
I think
These
that's probably the scariest thing about that whole era is if you didn't download them and save them to a hard drive
Mhm.
and they didn't make it to streaming, they really don't exist.
Yeah,
Like, because there are no physical copies to go along with them.
right.
So it's like if they didn't make it to streaming for whatever reason, they're
It's
not
gone.
there. Yeah, they're not there.
Right. Yeah, I still have like a hard drive with all that.
I
All
got two
that.
of them. I got two of those joints. Like I keep up with them
Yeah.
because I know that's the only. I always say things created now could always turn into digital dust at the blink of an eye.
Wow.
So it's like you always want to try to hang on to it. That's one thing. As much as I love Apple Music and Spotify, Tidal, and all that, there's certain artists where I'll still download a zip file
Mm.
because I don't want something to happen to any of those services.
Right.
And then I have a gap in Jay's discography. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't want a gap in Nas's discography. Like I want to make sure I always have access to. So I'll still download some zip files. Very few, but I'll still download some zip files.
I have
Who's your favorite artist besides Sean? We ain't even gonna talk about Sean. I know Sean is number one. Who's it? Jay? Give me one that I don't know. Surprise me with one. I just flipped and made you the subject of me the interview.
Currency.
Really? I would have never picked that for you.
Currency. So I think a lot of my music is influenced by my older brother.
Okay.
And so he's 4 years older than me. So of course he used to we used to ride to school together. So, I'm in middle school listening to 8 Ball, MJG,
Right.
T.I., Southern rap was hot, in that mid 2000s. And so my brother was always heavy on Currency. Like I come to his crib, chilling, posted up. He on the Currency playing 2K.
Right.
All his frat brothers, they love Currency. They happen to be alphas. So you can see how like the symbol, like the jet light, you know what I'm
Jet light,
saying?
the little hand
Yeah.
sign.
And so I think, with artistry, you kind of buy into the person as well. And Currency like really shows Nashville a lot of love. I think it's like an annual visit, where he's gonna come through and do the Fat Caps thing. And he's gonna perform at a, an intimate venue. I never felt like he don't have to walk around with security. So when you kind of like when you listen to his music, it kind of embodies like his flavor, his style. He uses soulful beats.
Right.
Sound like the stuff my mom used to make me listen to, headed to school, leaving school.
He's probably one of my favorite artists. Now, I won't say that I dislike artists, but I really don't like dealing with a lot of artists directly. Like I'd
Yeah.
rather deal with their manager or whatever. Currency's one of my favorite ones. Like when he did one of those early Fat Cap shows, we
Mhm.
brought him for that. way back when, before rappers were doing like little video blogs and stuff like that, we had this dude doing, we were filming him. We had him filming a thing called Myth Blazers, which is based off the old TV show. I don't think it exists anymore, Mythbusters. And we had him doing all these silly things with weed and like dispelling myths associated with it. We had a short video series, and it was huge on YouTube. I could be in the most random city and he would be there and he would spot me. Like I was in New York and we were in some restaurant. We had stopped to use the bathroom. He was like, "Oh shit, there go my homeboy John Gotty." And I was just like, "Currency, what are you doing here?" But like he remember, he's very personable and he's easy to talk to. He remembers people.
Yeah.
Like the person that you hear rapping and the persona that you see is actually who he is.
Right.
And I always loved that about him. He's one of those guys that, you kind of root for the underdog.
Yeah.
And if you look, but he posted that he bought a Bentley in the past couple of weeks, and he's been clowning with that on Instagram. And it's like, yo, you just happy to see that guy win because he came up on his own. Like he had his L's, but then he figured it out and built his own thing.
And I don't think he's like chasing. He's not chasing anything.
He ain't got to. He's got a fan base.
I appreciate that.
He's got a permanent fan base because he tapped in with weed smokers early.
Right.
And they he's gonna give you weed music. He's gonna give you that silly weed personality, that laid back, not taking himself too seriously weed personality, that stoner personality. And I mean, it works for him.
Yeah.
So
yeah, currency's one of them for sure. And he was in that era.
2009 blog rappers.
So good. Like going back to like I said, how we met.
I forgot all about that.
Bring it full circle, right? So it's still kind of what we're saying. Let me use that real quick. Sorry. Yeah.
I told you better have a script because I'm gonna take you all types of directions just for.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, we good. We talking.
The more I do these things and like I sit here and be a rude guest and like just do what I want to do, is like less often I'll be asked to do them. So it actually works in my favor. If I don't get asked to do another one, I'm just unloading the chopper and everything gets spilled.
Man, I think it works for me.
You better ask me.
I think it works for me because you've been doing a lot of the talking and you don't really talk. So you're gonna have like so many sound bites, man. Everybody gonna be like, man, I ain't never heard Gotty talk that much.
I'm only doing it for you.
I appreciate it.
Only for you.
I appreciate it. So you guys are doing a lot of the hip hop shows, and when I moved back, I went to, a lot of people don't know this, I went to the University of Dayton, Ohio my freshman year. So I graduated from White Creek 2010, and that fall 2010, I guess probably one of the best years of hip hop. I was up in Ohio, University of Dayton. I hated the city of Dayton, Ohio, and so I came back to Nashville. When I came back to Nashville,
You don't hate Dayton now, though, do you? Shout out to Dayton. Anybody listening from Dayton, he didn't really mean that.
Well, yeah. I mean,
he was just a young kid who was sorry. He didn't want to be away from home. He still has
I think people in Dayton hate Dayton. I think they would move if they could.
I'm not getting in on that.
They would move if they could. Shout out to Dayton, Ohio, though, man. They party.
It's too late.
No. They party. They really do. They really do party. They really do party at University of Dayton. But outside of that campus,
it's dangerous as fuck.
It just ain't nothing really going on.
I think Ohio as a whole is way more dangerous than what people realize.
Really?
Super dangerous.
So
Dayton, Cincinnati,
the nasty
Cleveland, Youngstown, all those cities.
My high school coach, my assistant coach from Youngstown.
Lark.
Yeah.
I know Lark. Lark could hoop.
Yeah.
Like hoop.
He used to like show us like
Lark was one of the first people I met at TSU.
For real?
Long story. He wasn't at TSU at the time. I was actually I got cool with another guy who was from Youngstown, and his best friend was down here because he had done some shit in Youngstown. And he was kind of staying down here laying low, and he didn't go to school. But like every day after I got out of class, he would meet me and we would be ripping and running doing some shit we wasn't supposed to be doing. and he used to play for Purdue back when Glenn Robinson was there. So he could hoop.
Mm-hmm.
They knew Lark as well. Lark could hoop. they had me coaching their basketball intramural team with all these ringers who did not go to TSU. Lark played professional overseas. My dude Sean, he played with Glenn Robinson like he could hoop. But Lark was on that team, and I've known Lark ever since then, man. Like one of the early people that I hooked up with.
Shout out to Coach Lark, man. He's a great person.
Those guys from Youngstown, man, like they put me up on. So I was doing stuff as a kid growing up, and like I was into mischief, but I don't think I understood like the streets, like the city streets.
Yeah.
Sean really like schooled me on even just how to walk down the street. I've come from Winchester, dog. We didn't have sidewalks, so we wasn't walking anywhere. We were driving. Sean taught me how to walk down the street, and it's something I still observe to this day. Like little small stuff. So like Sean was very impactful to me. And like Lark, my homeboy Randy, like Randy's still here. But I can't hoop, but all those guys hoop, so I would just always be around when I would try to hoop. We were always into other mischief as well.
Yeah.
So those were my guys.
Hey, nothing's changed about TSU intramurals.
Why you say that? Ringers, they still got ringers. They're
Man,
still wild.
Man, I played in TSU intramurals and then go to TSU. We had a team. It was like 10 people on the team. Maybe
9 of them went.
Maybe 3 went to TSU.
3 of them had IDs. The rest of them done borrowed somebody's ID or pulled some shenanigans to get to play. But everybody was in
Man,
there.
we was in that heavy TSU intramurals. So yeah, moved back to Nashville, 2011. I actually went to Nashville State for a semester, and that's when I started King of Fresh. And around that time, Bullets and Mullets was in the Gulch.
Right.
10 Deep, Crooks and Castle, all those type of brands was hot. We were getting shows in Nashville. We had like a unique wave. Crisis and Rob, they were throwing a little fly major parties, but it was all 21 and up. And so, we were kind of like left out. And so, me and my crew, one of my boys, he probably won't get in trouble now. Justin, when his mom used to go out of town, we study his house parties.
I was about to say, you're a grown ass man now. What you gonna do, ground?
Right. We study his house parties and like Project X style, like crazy. And so, like I said, we had a wave, and I kind of felt like we were always left out. And, as times went, Eric went in a different direction. You went in a different direction. We weren't getting those shows. Like I remember doing like a lot of those early shows with Eric, from Kendrick at War Memorial, Dom Kennedy at we did Schoolboy and Isaiah, Q at it may have been called something else. What was it after
I know what you're
Anthem?
talking about. I don't remember what it
was
changed.
it Anthem?
I can't remember what I did last week, so I can't say, but I definitely remember when Schoolboy and Isaiah performed there.
We even
Was that
did
the time that Isaiah's mom got up on the stage?
Yeah.
They played that Future, and that was like a beautiful moment for Tennessee.
That was lit. We even did one with Miguel, which is kind of unique. We did one with Miguel. We did like a
That's
little art
cute.
show. Yeah.
But was it Valentine's Day?
Man, no.
That's cute.
No.
That's real cute.
It was
You doing
like
Miguel
it
shit.
was like a money grab for us. We was just like, all right, Eric, how much we gonna get?
Yo, you know why I did those shows and why I stopped doing them? Because all I wanted to do was plant the seed. It was like number one, it helped me, and it wasn't even the money thing because, throwing shows is like a huge gamble. Like you never know if you're going to make money. For me, on the blog front, especially during that time, since I did have a lot of relationships with those guys, it allowed me to bring them here and get content that I could use without having to go somewhere. So like you could get currency for dirt cheap rate, Crit for a dirt cheap rate, Wale for, a very reasonable rate. And I didn't have to leave my backyard. So that was one aspect of it. But the second part is exactly what you said. Like you started doing shows largely because you saw that it could be done.
Right.
And that's all I wanted to do was plant the seed. Like, because I was asking different people like, you should think about bringing this artist. And nobody wanted to take a gamble on the artist. So I was like, you know what? Let me do it. Let me show them how it was done. And I don't want to take credit. I would say that I hope that, and which I know it did, it sort of set the stage where other people realized that they could bring artists in and we could have shows.
Yeah.
Like these blog rappers, if you brought them, people going to come out.
Yeah, and I would say it influenced me, and that's how we linked. We first booked Mick Jenkins. It was his first headline show. out of Nashville, I tapped you and was like, hey, we got this show. We'd love for you guys to sponsor. And not from a money aspect, but just, make sure we do it right. Having your stamp behind it would mean a lot to the city. And
I just like getting into shows for free after that point. That was like that's all I really wanted. Was like, yo, now I get in everywhere for free because I know somebody or whatever. It's like, yo, now I get in all the shows.
Yeah,
free.
you didn't say no. You said yep quickly, and I was like, man, yeah. Make sure you pull up too. It's like, all right. In the back of my mind, I'm like, man, he ain't pulling up.
I love that. I was happy to pull up because I wanted to see Mick because I rock with that album.
Yeah,
so I was like, shit.
That's still one of
perfect
his.
for me.
That's still his best one.
That album, I think that was Waters.
Yep, the Waters was crazy.
That was Waters, and then the one after, like those two albums, I can't think of the other one's name, but I was like, I still play those two albums. Like I like his newer material as well, but I still play those two albums. I enjoyed them.
Yeah.
So like when you hit me, I was like, yeah, I'll help you out with it. It's perfect for me. And I'm still a fan. That's like the main thing that like I think gets lost in the mix. I'm still a fan of music. I'm still a fan of new artists. I'm still a fan of, especially like shoes. I'm still a fan of that. I'm still a fan of fashion. I'm still a fan of hip hop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm older. Yeah, it's changed. The lens I view it through has changed. But I always have to remind myself, when I'm taking in something new, I ask myself, like, yo, not how 43-year-old Gotty will perceive it, but how would 16-year-old Gotty receive it? How would 18-year-old Gotty receive it? How would 25-year-old Gotty receive it? And then I can sort of understand it better. So like when some of these new guys come out and everybody's like, nah, they don't sound like Illmatic. I'm like, I ain't supposed to fucking sound like Illmatic, dog. That was like 60 years ago at this point. And he's supposed to sound like Illmatic. I'm like, listen to what he's doing and think, how would you respond to it as a 16-year-old who just got first car, finally getting a little taste of freedom, getting to choose what's played in the right? That's important.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you first get your vehicle and you're driving and you get to pick what's playing, like that's huge.
What was the first project that played in your car?
I can't remember what I did last week, dog. So I don't remember any of those details. Probably during that time period. I can definitely remember riding around to Outkast's first album, Super Heavy, and especially the single when it first came out, Players Ball. And then the first album, Pac, was definitely something that was super heavy. And I'm talking about like Tupacalypse Now, like the very first Tupac tape.
I know for me it was Blueprint 3.
Wow, you just made me feel super old.
I had this Dodge Intrepid.
Wow. Do they even make those anymore?
I don't never see them.
Wow.
I had this Dodge Intrepid. And
so now you should feel old because you're driving a car that doesn't exist anymore.
I had Blueprint 3 rocking. I was working at Champs in Opry.
Wow, do they still? No, they still got Champs. That's right.
But it was gone for a little minute. Like after the flood,
yeah,
it wasn't in there, and then they brought it back. But yeah, that was a time for sure. I used to do the same thing. I used to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday we had the football game,
right.
So I request off. Go to work.
Boy, you always been a fool.
Go to work, pick up my check, go cash it, go back to work, get the J's to come out the next day.
Always been a fool.
Get the J's to come out the next day.
What the audience doesn't know is we had a whole conversation before we started taping and filming and having this conversation on the record about just being wild and foolish. Man, this guy is and I kind of feel bad because he keeps saying I'm his OG. And I'm like, dog, I didn't teach you to do shit like that. Like I've been trying to stop you from doing certain things for the longest time.
But since I worked at Champs, like I wasn't paying the strength. I still got it for the discount.
Okay.
Yeah, got it for the discount. Went to the car wash.
I did the same thing.
Make sure the Intrepid looked good, go home. I had a homie who was hitting Dillards for their polos. He was getting them.
Of course. Everybody has the booster.
I get the long sleeve polo for the dub, and hit the Whites Creek football game.
That's when life was very simple. And I think if you kind of pull yourself back to that every time you're encountering new stuff, Because a lot of times, especially as you get older, you get jaded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, man, this stuff is whatever. You get very jaded. You feel like you've heard everything before, seen everything before. I prefer to try to look at it through a different perspective. And I think that's one of the things that kind of keeps me very active and in tune with what's going on.
For my creative process is I always try to look at things like what's going on 10 years from now, what's going on 20 years from now. I think me and you talk about this all the time, especially like with music. Um, I was listening to a speaker like a week or two ago, and he was like, it was being 2020. Everybody has these cliche sayings like 2020 vision, or, I want to see things clear this year. He was like, you actually don't want 2020 vision. You actually want 2010 vision. 2010 vision is actually better than 2020 vision. I was just like,
Why?
and for me, I kind of was like, man, if I could go back to 2010, you said why?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not an eye doctor. I just kind of took him for what he said. I believed him.
So now you had him spreading falsehood.
Right.
What was he implying by 2010 then?
He was just saying like, you have the like the 2020 vision is like measurable as far as like how good your vision is.
Okay.
So like 2040 is not as good.
I thought you said 2010.
I did. 2040 is not as good as 2020. So 2010 vision is better than 2020 vision. Does that not make sense?
No.
All right. Well,
We're just gonna.
Yeah. It makes sense to listeners. It makes sense to Google.
I was about to say it seems like to me he would throw out something like you need 2030 vision.
You think so?
I mean, if we're going with the whole corny implication, I would say
But
2030 vision.
from a
We have to take a break to
no, we don't.
acknowledge our sponsors. They're calling in to say, make sure that you mention us.
Man, I'm using the internet. All right, here we go. To put this all together, 2010 vision means that you can see with clarity details at 20 feet that most people with good vision can only see within 10 feet.
So you got like some X-ray shit.
Yeah,
Not X-ray, but
you
you
got
kind
like
of leaning towards
yeah.
really sharp vision.
So when he said that, I kind of
Yo, why are you sweating, dog? Is it hot in here?
Yeah, it's hot. You not hot?
Boy, you sweat.
You not hot? I sweat easy. I sweat easy.
You nervous?
Nah, hell no.
Relax, man. You're my first guest on the show, man. I'm glad to have you here. Just relax,
We've
man.
been talking for how long, and all of a sudden I'm nervous.
Let me hit your piss, man. You sweating like a dog. You been drinking on a Sunday, dog?
Nah, I've been on this tea, been on this echinacea.
You partied last night, a little bit, and it's coming out your pores now. Boy, I don't miss them days at all.
No, we had a good weekend.
Huh?
We had a good weekend.
You did a thing with L on Friday.
Yeah, we did
The
do same thing
flamingo
Friday. Yeah,
and then what'd you do yesterday?
Man, yesterday
Is this in the outline? Can we talk about what you did on the weekend?
Yeah.
What'd you do
yesterday?
yesterday?
So yesterday, so my Saturdays are crazy because I try to be at more than one place at one time. Impossible. So I went to my very first baby shower.
Okay.
My first time going to a baby shower.
Hopefully it's your last until you have a kid.
I mean, I hope some of my homies that are married, they have kids, and I can pull up. I didn't realize how expensive things are for kids, though.
Very expensive.
Like I bought a couple boxes of diapers.
Very expensive.
Whoa.
I had to buy a gift earlier this week, and so a lot of times that gift, did you feel like you were being judged by what gift you bought? Or did somebody tell you that diapers were the safe route?
Yeah.
Diapers were the safe route?
Yeah. I was talking to somebody and they were like, when they have a baby shower, just get me diapers. Like I don't want you to give my kid no clothes, none of that.
A lot of new parents don't know, like diapers and the milk and all that
Yeah.
jazz is what's going to eat up your butt. All that little random stuff that they put on the registry or whatever, like you're going to use that shit once, maybe for a month or two, and then it's like outdated and trash. You know what I bought my homeboy? Bought him the diaper pail.
What's that?
What you put the dirty diapers in. It's like a trash can that you put dirty diapers in. Don't ask me like what difference it is than a regular trash can. I guess it like seals the you don't know baby diapers stink like hell.
No, I know.
Okay, well these like you don't have to take it out immediately, I guess. But it's expensive trash can. But I was like, yo, I'm not buying. Number one of the things on the list was nipple butter. And I don't know what nipple butter is, but I was like, it just feels so improper to buy his girl something that indicates that I was thinking about her nipples. And then, they had like this $200 bottle warmer. And I was like, we homeboys, but no, I'm not spending $200 on a bottle warmer for you, dog. Don't you got a microwave? Like, why are we buying you a bottle warmer? I just felt like you were being judged by that gift. So it was like and plus it also has to make sense to me. So I was like, I know they'll use a trash can. So I bought him a $75 trash can.
Let me be totally honest too. Let me be totally honest. So the dad came to Good Fridays.
Okay.
That's the event with me and El and Duce or whatever. So the dad was like, yo, I'm having a son. I need a kind of famous onesie. All right,
That would have been cheaper than buying diapers.
For sure. For sure. For sure.
Than buying diapers.
Man, so, I'm like, all right, and I've never been to a baby shower, but, all the homies from TSU was in town, people from Detroit, Chicago. It was at noon. They was like, yo, we gonna have food. I was like, all right, I'm gonna pull up for the food,
They probably had drinks too, didn't they?
They had the drinks too. So when I pulled up, I'm gonna tell you the truth, I pulled up empty-handed.
Wow, you're a terrible person.
Terrible. Like the face card is the ultimate gift.
How did you know?
And so I'm walking in and I'm seeing everybody with like gift bags and stuff. I'm like, oh, snaps. Like, I gotta, get him something. And so
you probably went to Walgreens and bought the expensive diapers too, just because it was right next door.
Where did I go? I went to Kroger.
Expensive.
I went to
They
Kroger.
probably regular price.
And so when I got there at 12, Justice told me the food was gonna be. He said, get there at 12, bro. I want make sure you eat. If you get there on time. I get there at 12, 15, ain't no food. We went hard last night. Liquor messing my stomach up. I was like, man, I gotta get something in my stomach. And so I dipped off. Went to go get some Thai food. I'm just giving you my schedule from yesterday.
Shower?
Yeah.
Wow, you're a wild boy.
Went to go get some Thai food and then went to Kroger.
Okay.
And got the diapers. I came back in. Folks like, man, where you been? Man, this dude done came back with a haircut and everything. I got the haircut Friday, but TSU folks, they joke. But yeah, I dropped those off, and then I had to coach yesterday.
Okay.
So I coached second grade girls.
Wow.
We lost 8-6. We could not score at all. Like, we'd get a steal, be pushing it down the court.
Little kids takes
ball.
a certain level of patience and tolerance. And I'm just like, I'm fine with little kids, but like teaching them and trying to coach them is like super rough because it's just like it takes a whole lot of patience.
Well, the challenge for me is I've never done all girls.
Okay.
So I've been coaching for 10 years. Crazy, right? And so I've always done majority boys. The only time I've coached girls is when I was volunteering at the YMCA for about 2-3 years. So you got a team of 10, it might be 3 girls in there.
They can dribble.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. Like, I remember my 4 to 6 year old team at the Y, like, my best player was a girl. Shout out to Nori.
She could dribble.
Yeah, and she could shoot. Little
At
lefty.
that age group, it's like all you gotta do is be. If you can dribble, you're the star of the team.
Mm-hmm. And so, coaching girls, you learn how to communicate a lot better. There's a lot of ideas and concepts as far as like being a basketball coach and being aggressive or being hard on your players. With girls, it's a lot different. I remember like my first practice, I'm communicating an idea to a young lady, and she breaks down. And I'm like, no. Like, all this is new information. Like, you're fine. Like,
You made her cry first practice?
Cry, dog. It's terrible.
I bet the parents hated you.
Terrible.
My kid cry.
Man, so, just like I said, learning how to communicate to young ladies and getting them to, understand, what we're trying to accomplish. Also, I think sometimes the words I use or the phrases I use don't translate. And so I'm like, in the paint the whole time.
They don't know where the paint is.
They don't know where the paint is.
Yeah, like you're teaching the true fundamentals of the game, which takes a lot. It takes a talent that everybody doesn't have.
And so I think it's one of my biggest challenges weekly. First of all, 1 hour practice a week is not enough to see the changes you want to see come Saturday. So you're playing basketball 2 hours a week. So at that age, it's about who's playing basketball more than 2 hours a week. Whoever playing basketball more than 2 hours a week.
Whoever can dribble.
Yeah, they're gonna be
Whoever
successful.
can draw.
Right, they're gonna be successful. So yeah, man, I left the basketball game. Went to go get some Jenny's ice cream.
You eat a lot, man. For a skinny guy.
That's my vice.
Food?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I love to eat, especially here in Nashville. It ain't much to do here but eat. You know.
You're like one of those people who could be almost a Nashville tour guide. Like when somebody comes into town and they're talking about, yo, what's to eat? I'll be like, hold on just a minute. You're one of the people I reach out to because you're always somewhere eating.
Yeah, I had someone hit me last week like, yo, I need a new spot. Where should I eat today? It's like, what do you have a taste for?
Yeah, I was about to say, you usually know all the spots.
Yeah.
I would have never pictured you to be a foodie, man.
Yeah.
I'm not a food person. All I need is cigarettes and coffee, and I'm good to go.
I low-key
That's
might.
that's how I maintain my trim figure. If you're sitting there wondering, like, yo, how does he stay so slim and trim? Go on, eat, dog. Just smoke cigarettes, drink coffee.
Man, I low-key might.
Work all day.
I might add that to the blog.
What, cigarettes?
Nah, hell no. Food.
Yeah, I was about to say, nobody thinks cigarettes
Yeah.
are cool anymore.
I always try to like send you stuff.
Vaping is bad.
I always try to send you stuff like, don't smoke stuff. But it's like nigga.
It's my only vice. Like, it's my only real vice. Like, I keep saying and not keep saying, like, in my head, it's like I'm moving towards that position where I want to quit smoking just because I know the health implications. Like, I think I've been smoking, I guess, 20 years now. And it's like I know the health implications of it. Like, I don't want to be walking around with that oxygen tank or one of those little Roger voice boxes where I'm doing auto-tune, asking for milk at the grocery. Can you have milk? I don't want that in my future. So it's like, yo, I need to stop.
Well, I ain't gonna pressure you.
I don't care. It's one of those things
You
where
know.
you got to make your mind
Yeah,
up.
it's on you, man. It's on you. You know what to do.
Yeah, I was about to say, I got to make my mind up.
You know what to do. So yeah, after I left Jenny's, so look, L in town for the baby shower. So it's like 20 plus people from TSU in town. And so they've been swinging all weekend. I'm probably going to link up with them when I leave here.
So tomorrow morning is going to be rough for you.
Nah, I mean, I'm going to have to get some work done tonight. So I just can't, partake. I can hang out today, but I can't, drink. So L and them, I hit him up like, yo, what y'all on? I just got done coaching. He's like, yo, we at Rose Pepper. We in here 40 deep. It's like a movie in here. So I'm like, oh, I'm on the way, bro. I'm on the way.
Yo, I told you he would probably be a great guest.
Yeah, I'm on the way. Oh, L's animated for sure. And so he
it's a movie at Rose Pepper.
Man, I got a call from my homegirl at Duce. She like, Fields, I never asked you for anything. I need you to come get me and Kelly. Now, Kelly, she went to Fist. She did like logistics for Sean. So she like shipped his stage. She buys all the flights from Mo Beats, Big Sean, all those folks, you know what I'm saying? So she's like, me and Kelly, man, we drunk. We need you to come get me. We're in San Antonio. So I'm like, all right.
Okay.
Pull up San Antonio. They in there like, you know how like you sober.
They didn't want to take an Uber?
Well, so the issue, they were going Uber, but they had parked at valet, and they couldn't keep the car at valet overnight. So it's like, yo, can you park this for us? And then we going to go back to swinging. And so...
so you just had a wild...
Yeah, just all over the place.
Wild day.
By the time I got them situated...
36 hours roughly between Friday to...
By the time I got them where they were, of course, they had some marks. Yes, I had some marks with them at San Antonio. Once I got them where they were and went to go pull up on L, I'm walking them to Rose Pepper. And it's 40 people in the front, 40 black people. I'm like, dang, I missed the movie.
So you got there too late.
Got there too late. But we was on the block. We was in front of Rose Pepper looking crazy.
Looking old and washed, hanging out in front of a restaurant like that was the motivate.
You know, trying to figure out the move, and all the moves are moves I wasn't trying to make. So look, I ended up going home early last night. I watched that Celtics and Rockets game.
Good game.
And I just, talked on the phone.
You still do that?
Yeah. Heck,
they still phone bone? I ain't know people still did that.
FaceTime. It's the future. I can see you.
I don't want to FaceTime with nobody.
You FaceTime your lady?
No, she right there with me. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about like if you were in my position, single.
Well, yeah, maybe.
That's
another one of those things where the generation gap does exist for me. Only people I want to FaceTime is like nieces and nephews, maybe my kids.
Man, we might make every call a FaceTime call.
No, I'm good.
I ain't FaceTimed you before. I know you cuss me out like, man, what the
Nope.
I don't want to look at you, dog.
I'm gonna tell you who's notorious for trying to FaceTime me is Josh Nachos.
Oh yeah, he ain't gonna that's how he communicates.
I'm not answering Nachos. I'm not answering. Like, you can try this as many times as you want. Audio only, dog. We're not looking at each other while we chit chat.
Man, that's the future.
That's cool.
I'ma see you. What's up?
I'll get in the future later. That's not one of those things where I feel like I need to be tuned in at. Hold on, but you were telling me something about Mick Jenkins.
Oh yeah.
And
So
which was a great show.
yeah, and I think I pulled out all the tricks. Like I had DJ Ray.
That was at 12th and Porter, wasn't it?
Yep, 12 and Porter.
12th and Porter.
I had DJ Ray DJing. You know, he's boom bap guy. And for me, I thought that was major as well. I'm like, man, I got DJ Ray, I got smoking section on this. Of course, I put 2 L's on just because, they were voice to the streets at that time. And
Somebody opened up for him.
D Goods.
D Goods.
And I was doing his Family, Friends, and Money project. I think that's his best project.
Okay.
Just like fully. Like we were that's when I had a staff at Belmont. I had a staff of like 10 students.
Doing what?
A whole bunch of nothing. We just thought we were doing stuff.
Oh,
I had a sales guy, I had a marketing guy, I had a PR guy, I had a video guy, I had an art guy, I had a personal assistant. I'm 21. I'm 21 with like $30,000 worth of inventory in my dorm. And we just selling this gear every day.
Well, I mean, if you was doing that much business, you made it. You may have needed at least one or two.
Well,
other people. I don't know about 10, but 1 or 2.
We just wasn't. I just didn't understand. That's the only way I can describe it. I didn't understand how to get the most out of everybody, because where I went wrong is we kicked it with each other, and we kicked it every day.
Okay.
So we were smoking weed every day. Period. Go to class, get out, boom. Man, we were hitting bombs.
Was business getting handled?
I mean, we were
Or
selling.
y'all were
gear.
having a hard time.
I think that it was an issue of when it's time to be for real. Like for me, it was never an issue of, flipping that switch because, I got the $30,000 of
Tied
debt.
up in.
You know what I'm saying? So I know when it's time to get the money. But for them, I think that they kind of looked at it from the outside looking in, like, man, he's doing it. We having fun. I'm just happy to be.
They
a
were
part
just
of it.
down with the clique. They wasn't really. They were working, but.
And so now I
You
try
don't
my
work it,
best
work
to
it.
like not be friends with the people I work with.
That's
I mean,
impossible for you because you're a friendly guy.
Yeah, but I think that there has to be some type of separation.
Right.
There has to be boundaries. Yeah, there has to be boundaries. And like you said, like I think anybody that I work with, like I want you to be doing what you want to do. So if I work with a photographer, so I know it's like, nah, we're not friends. I think we're friends, Kev. My bad.
You already showed
I
your
think
card
we're friends,
now.
Kev.
He knows what it is now.
Um,
Just make sure the invoice is paid.
but
That's all.
right, is it always get paid, Kev?
That's what he's like,
Yeah.
man. Just make sure the invoice is paid.
I think that I want Kep, just using Kep as an example, to fulfill his goals and ideas with what I'm doing. So if I'm doing, like, if I'm following my dreams, and he's following his dreams, and it aligns together, then naturally there's gonna be some type of friendship, companionship, love, because we're both becoming part and elements of accomplishing our goals and dreams.
Right.
And so a lot of people can't separate that. For me, I don't have that. Like I don't sit around and play 2K. I don't pull up and just kick it, So like I don't really, for the long, I don't necessarily have friends that are outside of, my work. But I had to do a better job of, tapping back in with my friends that I grew up with that don't live in Nashville, and, putting that time in, whether it be like 5-10 minutes a week, just call like, everything good. So yeah, at that time period, I was just all about King of Fresh.
All right.
Nothing else. King of Fresh.
And so now you've matured and evolved, and you're able to handle it a little bit better.
Yeah, because it's just like, the best thing that happened for me was no longer doing King of Fresh
Okay.
and trying to figure out who Jonathan is. Not Jay Fields, this whole idea of this person I created, but who is Jonathan? All right, so now you don't have this thing that you are so
You mean
locked in.
Jay Fields and Jonathan are 2 different people?
I think
Because Gotty and Tyrus and Mr. King are all like the same person. But I'm a Gemini, so I'm
I
used to
think
having
that-
multiple sides going.
I think it's like a personality thing.
Okay.
I think that yeah, I think it's a personality thing. Jay Fields is yeah, he's that guy. But
Wow.
I think I lost who Jonathan was in a sense because when I didn't have King of Fresh, it's like, all right, now what are you gonna do now? And I did the safe thing.
That's it. That's just interesting to me.
You know what the safe thing is?
Nah, I mean it's just interesting to me that like this part of you is different from. And I know you're not saying it's like a huge difference, but like when people ask me that, I'm like, dude, I'm the same person.
Well, for
Like
instance,
everything I do is like the same. Like there is no separation.
for instance,
I know there's certain things that Gotti has to do.
right. So maybe that's what I'm saying. Like when I was no longer doing King
But
of
if it's
Fresh,
like if Ty says fuck you, then Gotti
for
says
sure.
fuck
Yeah. No. I'm saying more so like
if I fuck with you, Gotti fucks with you. Like they're all pretty much one and the same.
I stopped going to rap shows that I didn't care about.
Okay.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
understand.
Like back then it was I gotta show love or I gotta drop this gear off.
Yeah.
Gotta do that. I ain't got no gear. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's Jay Fields is I gotta pull up, I gotta be here. Jonathan is like, man, I'm at the crib. I didn't really like that album.
You're enjoying being a little bit on the wash side and being able to do what you want to do versus what you think you have to do.
Exactly. And so that time period, like now that I'm getting back into clothing, it it showed me why I did it. And it was just for fun. Like I just enjoy it. It turned into something that was major. We made a lot of money. It took over my life, but now it's just like, man, I have
I still
certain.
see King of Fresh stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Like matter of fact, I saw it on somebody's Instagram yesterday, and I was like, "Holy shit, that shirt is old as hell."
Man, they wearing the man. I saw a dude in class last week.
Wearing it
He had the shirt on that
because you had everybody in the city wearing that stuff at one time. I could go to a basketball say I've texted you several times. Like sometime I see a little kid with it, and then I would see somebody's daddy with it, and I would always text you like, "Man, who is this 67-year-old man you got?" Wearing a King of Fresh hoodie at an MLK game. Like, how in the hell are you? Why are all these people wearing them? But it was like, yo,
was
everybody
touch.
was wearing it.
I had somebody in class last week with it was like one of the last shirts we made before, I walked away from it. And I was just like, yo, where you get that shirt from? He was like, Jay Fields, he's a producer. So I'm like, he's trolling me. Like, he knows I'm Jay Fields. He knows I'm not a producer. So I sit in class, I'm like, maybe he doesn't know.
So he didn't know that Jonathan and Jay Fields were two different people.
Well, they're the same person, but
Well, I mean, yeah, we're the same person. Excuse me,
the same person. So I'm like, I get my camera out. I'm like, I gotta film this. This is awesome. Hey man, like I know Jay Fields. Like, you want to send him a video? Like, I'm sure he would like love the fact that you're wearing this shirt.
That's so lame.
So he's like, yeah, man. So I get the phone out. He's like, yo, what up, Jay Fields? Just out here rocking the King of Fresh, man.
And you stood there with the straight face.
And I'm just,
everything.
I'm kind of in disbelief. Kind of in disbelief.
Why?
Like,
Because Jay Fields is a
Jay Fields is kind of famous.
oh god, nice little sweet plug right
Jay
there.
Fields is kind of famous. So I'm like, nah, he's got to be trolling me.
He was dead ass serious.
Hey, what's his name? Philip. Hey, Philip, what's my name? He didn't know. It's like, it's Jonathan. Oh yeah, Jonathan. Jonathan Fields.
Oh,
You're Jay Fields. It's like, no, you're not. No, what's your Instagram? Jay Fields. He's like, oh, snaps, it is you.
blew his mind.
Blew his mind. And so, I still see people, wearing it. I think that people look to me for that.
Okay.
I think that's something I'll be able to provide no matter what it's called, as long as it's nothing stupid. I think people trust my...
So you're saying like I could soon have a king kind of famous shirt.
Yeah.
Like those things are going to be a thing.
Yeah,
Word.
for sure.
Dope.
Until it's no longer a thing.
Right. Maybe I'll get a shirt then.
Yeah, we'll work
I'll
on
get
that.
a shirt then.
We'll work on that. We'll work on that.
Don't you enjoy that? Like being able to, even through clothing or even through apparel, like being able to touch people and impact people like that. Even if it's just something small and creates an interaction like that. You still get a lot of joy out of that.
I think it's something special about seeing somebody wearing something you created.
Right.
It's like you think something's fresh, you think something's cool, but then it's like everybody gravitates to it because it's something about
We're
support.
different.
Really,
Like you're okay with being recognized in public. Like you have a ton of friends and everything like that. Dog, I hate being Gotty. Like being out and people recognize me and wanting to stop and talk. Cause like, yo, I try to move in the shadows.
you remember before you like showed who you are, I was like, "Yo, let me get your alias." You remember I used to say that, like, "Let me be, let me be John Gotti." You were like,
You
"Nah."
probably fucked me up. So now
Well,
I feel guilty
they already know what you look like now. But before you show who you were, I was
I've
like,
always
"Yo,
been a shadows guy. Like I really, and I had, now that's one thing that came with the whole Gotti thing and smoking section and everything else that I had to get used to, was like being somebody. And which of course we all know that we're somebody, we're all kind of famous. But I think it's just different when people are like watching you and recognizing you. Like I'll be out now and I'm paranoid. Somebody stares at me too long, I'm reaching in my pocket thinking like, shit, this motherfucker. You know what I mean? I'm thinking
mm,
like that. And they're like, nah, yeah, they recognize me. And I'm like, shit, yeah. And I mean, it's fun then, but I mean, it's just different. And I think that may be a generational thing. And I think that, I was telling somebody that the other day. When you look at, say, Pop Smoke, and we don't know the true facts of like how it all went down, but you know, he shared his location. You know, whether by accident or whatever, he shared his location. And the current version of the story is that's what led to, you know, the home invasion. Like y'all are very free about that stuff. So my generation still comes from the old school train of thought where it's like, yo, I'm not letting you too far into my life
mhm.
because I don't know what you may do. Whereas y'all are like, yo, this is my life. So that opening up and sharing that came with being an online persona or having this, uh, you know, small measure of stature where people recognize you and they want to know more about you. Like now that took a lot of getting used to for me. Could be a generational gap. It could just be my personality as well. It's like, I don't really want you all in my business. You know what I mean? Y'all just have everybody in your shit.
But it hits a point where it's like, all right, this is overwhelming. Like I
Right.
remember,
What's the worst thing you had? Like worst interaction or like the crazy, let's say the craziest spot where somebody kind of popped up and recognized you
I mean, the one last week was kind of crazy.
because
For
he
sure.
had no idea who you
Yeah,
were.
and I'm in class every day. But that's a space where
And the professor probably calling out fields early in the
no,
semester.
not really. I mean, I participate, but
No, I'm saying like when the professor's calling the roll, they're saying
he
fields.
says Jonathan.
He says Jonathan.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know
Dude
what the
didn't know.
J's for. Like I troll with that. Jesus, Justin, Jordan, Jamal,
Right.
whatever you think it is. I think one of the times for me was I had did an event at Agenda for like my 24th birthday, I think. It was doing like NHL All Star Weekend with Duce. We had everything planned out where we had like a Uber code. So you pay $20 for a ticket. That $20 gets you an Uber there, um, and a shot of it gets you in and a shot of Duce.
Wow.
Now go with someone so that that other person can Uber you back.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So we had that going. Had Mookie in there hosting. Had Benny Cunningham in there hosting. I had Wilkes and Loke performing. Um, and it was probably like, it was packed out at Agenda. It was like capacity. And man, I shook so many hands that night. Took so many pictures. And they didn't have everything set up at
The young mayor of Nashville.
Yeah, it was pouring everybody personal shots to do. So, oh, you got your shot? Oh, bet. Probably some people probably doubled up. Like I was in a great spirit, but it was a little overwhelming. The next day, I moved to Oakland.
Why?
It was just like too much.
And see, I guess that's kind of where we differ at. Like I would never get anywhere near that point because I try to keep everything contained to a certain degree.
And that's one thing about like the kind of famous aspect. I like just being around, certain individuals and being blessed to kind of like see things from the other side. I don't think I would want
to
that
be famous.
that all the way. Nah.
I don't want to be on all the time. There's days
Yeah.
where I want to go to Mapco and get cigarettes and not be recognized because
Yeah.
I probably ain't shaved, ain't showered. I'm just running there real quick and coming back, and I don't want to be recognized.
I remember
I just want to
being
be regular,
I remember being in the Bay
and I'm very regular.
and Pusha T had a show out there. So my boy from Belmont was playing for the Warriors at the time, Ian Clark. Was out there mobbing, kicking it. And I tried to, just kind of get him involved with just kind of being more off the court personal, pull up to some of these local boutiques, pull up to these shows, show face, be involved in the community. And so we pulled up to the Pusha T show. And I remember just looking at the meet and greet. I was like, man, this is exhausting. Just how people were like interacting with Pusha T. Like just, man, I was like, man, he treating dude like he Christ.
Yeah.
This is kind of sickening. Like, I don't want this. Like, people was in there like going crazy. And I remember a dude like, yo, Ian, go home. You shouldn't be here. You got a game tomorrow. And I got offended for him. Like, he ain't say, I'm like, hey, man, keep it moving, man. Keep it moving. Like, but people are that invested into your life and what you got going on that they feel like they can tell you, like, go home.
Because they have access to you.
Like, you just supposed to play basketball.
As a public figure, they got access to you and they can have an opinion on you. They know about you. I think it's taxing, it's demanding. And that's why I'm like, I really value my privacy to a certain degree. And that's why I do stay in the shadows. Because, like, I don't want to be in that situation or in those predicaments. Like, I like being able to move how I move.
I always talked about, like, doing clothing. Like people know you, but they don't, like, fan out over you. As you can see now, that's kind of changing.
Right.
Like people like Jerry Lorenzo, like people want the photo out with Jerry, or like Joe, Joe Fresh Goods. People want, the images with them. I always told folks like, man, if I did what I did in music, I'd be on.
What you mean?
Like the impact that I've made on a national level, like clothing. Like I'm from Nashville, I had LeBron in my clothes. Like I feel like that's equivalent to getting a Drake feature.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if I did it in music, it'd be, it had a bigger impact. And so I appreciate the lane I'm in because, like, Ralph Lauren can walk in Starbucks. How many folks are going to be like, yo, that's Ralph Lauren? Unless you, like, really in it. Do you know what Ralph Lauren looks like? You know?
Short white guy, gray hair. Probably like 5, no more than 5'2", 5'5".
But you would know for sure. You'd be like, that's Ralph Lauren.
No, I probably, even knowing his face, I still probably overlook him.
But Darius Garland or Mookie, like
we're in a different space though.
Yeah,
like totally different space, and people are buying when it comes to buying stuff and buying into new things or buying into companies, artists, whatever. They're buying into the person and the story attached just as much as they are those pants.
Right.
Because I can make those same pants, I can make that same shirt, but a lot of people want Jay Fields, or they want Joe Fresh Goods. So it's like you're kind of pushed into that space where people want that access to you. Or they want it, not even access, it's like they want to invest in your story.
Right.
Just because of who you are. Like people ask me about Joe, I'm like, I love Joe because one, he's doing it out of Chicago and he's determined to do it from Chicago, and he constantly shows Chicago love. Like he doesn't claim New York, LA, etc. Like he claims Chicago. He shows love to Chicago constantly. And he constantly makes people aware that, yo, I'm from Chicago. So I'm like, I root for that guy. Like who doesn't want to see somebody, especially playing in the spaces where we're at, who doesn't want to see that guy succeed from, these other places besides the places where you're supposed to be from. You know what I mean? So I enjoy that.
Would you not say Chicago is one of those places you're supposed to be from?
Man, I love Chicago, but you got me fucked up. You think I'm doing any time in Chicago?
Yeah,
but Chicago is rough as hell. But so he's lucky. Don't think about. Excuse me. Think about the odds as a young black male that you have to face to make it out of Chicago.
Right.
Like those are really hard odds. Yeah. So now to be doing anything like what they're doing, like you got to have your nose clean and be about your business, because there's so many, like I know Chicago. Like I have family there, so spent plenty of time there, still visit. Chicago is rough. And like you can't get by, being a lame. It's hard being a neutron, like not being affiliated in Chicago. To do that and be able to emerge and grow up and raise a family and all that shit as a black male, like, yo, I always look at it like, yo, that's kind of challenging to do.
Right.
So anybody who makes it out of that, like, that's dope to me. Like, I applaud them for it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how hard it is.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, when you look at it this way, people say they want a son or they want a daughter, and they say, oh, a daughter is harder to raise. Nah, actually, a son is harder to raise to me. A young black male is very hard to raise to me because there's so many pressures on you. Like a girl, what I got to worry about with a girl? Make sure she don't end up on the pole, or doing drugs. Like those are like the main things. Keep it really simple. And that's don't get PC on me. You know what I mean? Like
I know what you're saying.
it's like there's only a certain way she can go wrong before a guy, like a little young teen, can go wrong. A boy can go wrong so many different ways. It's like so many pressures on them.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's just me coming at it from knowing what a young black male will face. I'm like, shit, it's hard raising a boy. Because I know the hell I put my parents through.
Right.
And I've seen the hell that,
And there's the stuff that you did that they had no idea that you were even doing.
Yeah. My daddy still trips off of that. Like, how did we not know? I was like, shit. Again, I move in the shadows, so I was smart enough not to kind of broadcast everything.
Man, I just know, like, I'm glad that we were on the front end of social media where we didn't film everything.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
Like Snapchat really wasn't a thing when we was like 18, 19, 20. You didn't have IG stories. Man, we were doing so much foolishness, 18, 19, 20, like just riding down to Murfreesboro to go to an MT party, hotboxing, drinking.
Doing the most.
Just underage drinking, under the influence. Like, had so much trust in the driver. You know what I'm saying? Like, he drinking too, drinking and driving. Like, there's so many things that I say God just kind of protected us from. So as a parent, what is that? That time when they're away. How often does that come across your mind? Like, how are you preparing them
every day?
Yeah, how are you preparing them for just decision making?
I tell them at school, like when we were in high school, middle school, and all that stuff, like don't go in the bathroom to fight. Like don't go, because like, did they fight in the bathroom when you were in high school?
Yeah. I went to Ice Creek. They fought wherever they
fought
could
wherever
fight.
That's a whole other story.
It's fought everywhere.
That's a whole other story. But like they fight in the bathroom. Like I know they fight in the bathroom. The thing about fighting in the bathroom, a lot of times it's being filmed.
Yeah.
But when you're in the hallway, how long are you usually fighting before somebody comes and breaks it up?
Got about 5 seconds.
Yeah, somebody's gonna break it up.
Yeah.
But if you fight in the bathroom, nobody has a chance to break it up. I taught high school for 10 years, and I'll never forget, and I've seen a lot of shit in my days, but I'll never forget this 9th grade girl. As a matter of fact, I had her in class. 2 girls got to fighting in the bathroom, and the little badass girl who was in my class, she wasn't under my supervision then, I just knew her. She sliced the other girl with a straight razor, just sliced her face. And I mean, I've never seen so much blood. I mean, it was the red that's on your shoes, like the blood was that bright and red. And I mean, it was gushing out of that other girl's face. And I had to tackle the little girl who had the straight razor. And could have been, and she was nuts enough that she probably would have ended her right there in that bathroom. And ever since then, I tell my kids, and you even think about it on a smaller level, like sometimes, like I love fight videos. That may be my internet weakness, the wormhole I go down. Like I love fight videos, but I also cringe. Like when I see them fighting in the bathroom, and every now and then you'll see a kid hit their head on like a sink or one of the urinals or a toilet. Like, dude, that could kill you if you hit it from the wrong angle. So I tell my kids, don't fight in the bathroom. Like, if you're going to fight somewhere, and neither one of them's ever gotten a fight.
Right.
Point is, like, yeah, you're constantly concerned, but for me, I just put a lot of faith in the fact that I've hopefully taught them the right things along the way. that God looks out for them. And then I also know that even if something bad does happen, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Like we'll learn from it. They'll learn from it. We'll all grow from it. Because like you grow as a parent when you're helping them deal with some of these things, like you learn a lot as well.
Hmm.
So I'm always like, whatever it is, it ain't the end of the world, no matter what goes on.
Yeah, for sure. I've had my fair share of trouble.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's
Yeah.
not the end of the world. Like, when you're in it, especially when you're the kid and you're in it, it feels like it's the end of the Even when you're a young adult, it feels like it's the end of the world, but the world keeps on spinning.
Yeah, I feel like my biggest mistakes. Like I acted a fool in middle school, ninth grade, a little bit. But once I left Good Pasture and went to Whites Creek, like my trouble was different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you just talking class. Be quiet. Like they was
Yeah, I did. Well,
smoking.
I did White Creek for a year. It was something but it was really cool.
They used to smoke in the bathroom. They did real G shit. You know what
No,
I'm
I was about to
saying?
say they weren't like they did stuff at school, but like the biggest thing that I learned from the White Creek experience, and I also did some time at Stratford as well, is the stuff they do away from school
Mm,
that hinders them from being able to either come to school or perform well because they're thinking about the shit that they've got going on,
right.
like the real shit that they've got going on outside of school.
Yeah.
So, like education, like, yeah, we talked about it before. I talk about like a Whites Creek student is sometimes not at the same spot where they should be versus, say, a kid who's at any other metro school, say maybe whatever you're like MLK,
Mm,
Hume Fogg, like they're behind, and there's a reason for it. Because they've got circumstances that are unlike anybody else's.
yeah.
But if I didn't experience that firsthand, like it would have just been something that I read about or heard about, but experiencing it firsthand, like it gave it a lot of gravity. So, I mean, that's why I still do a lot of stuff with young people in
Hmm.
different capacities. So, I don't know. Well, I do know. I think that it forces everybody to realize that nothing is promised. Like,
Right.
no matter the money, circumstances, no matter what, it's like, yo, you could be having the grandest life and then it could all be snatched away from you.
Right. Right.
And I think one of the biggest things about Kobe's passing is how many people, felt something when he passed. And I think everybody probably felt it on a different level, but I can't think of too many people, like if something other happened to him, that everybody, and I know not everybody felt something, but it seemed like everybody who I'm around and in my circles, it's like everybody felt something by Kobe's passing. And I think that's very rare.
Yeah.
And I think you and I were talking about like being, you said one of the first texts, because I knew you were a huge Kobe fan.
Mm.
And you said one of the first things I told you via text was what?
Um, if you need to unplug,
Take a break.
take a break. Yeah.
And I think now that's one scary thing that I think goes on now. Sometimes that collective grieving can be really good. And then sometimes it can be bad because it can kind of throw you into a bad space if you are too exposed to it. So, I
Right.
mean, it's a delicate balance.
Yeah. I know. I felt it the first time with Nipsey. Uh,
Everybody, I
and
think a lot of people felt it with Nipsey.
you know how you send that risky text and you got those three dots,
Yeah.
that emotional feel of like, what they about to say. That's kind of how I felt like with Twitter. With Nipsey and Kobe, you constantly refreshing the top of your timeline, and you just
Yeah, Twitter is the one place where I definitely like I can go there when it happens just to get the news, but then I know
yeah.
I have to move away from it. And I think when Kobe passed, within that first hour, the only thing that I really said or made sure that I wanted to tweet was like, yo, if you have something to say, don't say it.
Right.
Like now is not the time.
Yeah.
We can talk about the rape allegations and everything, and we can all kind of decide for ourselves what his legacy is. But now is not the time to bring up, you know, what could be perceived as negatives to
Yeah.
a lot of people.
You know,
Like now is like immediately after his death, it's not to be like, oh fuck him, he's dead, he's a rapist. Like I saw people do that, and I'm like, who raised you? Just shut
yeah.
the fuck up and go on about your day. It doesn't bother you.
Well, it's just like, that happened 2003, I want to say. So it's been 17 years. This dude has done so many amazing things since. It's just like, why do we allow, I guess, someone's worst day to be their
One of their defining
legacy?
characteristics.
Like that's like, we call Jonah in the Bible, do we call him a drunk? Do we highlight, you know what I'm saying? Do we highlight that issue or do we highlight the whale? You know what I'm saying? It's like, what kind of person pulls out just that negative aspect and titles someone that? I know for me, one thing I've changed as far as how I communicate on social media, I try my best not to talk down on anybody or
Right.
anyone's,
Yeah, I'm like,
creativity.
don't judge.
So if someone puts out a project that I didn't like, I'm not gonna be like, man, that album was trash, or because if I feel that way, that's cool. Feel that way. But what does it do for you? What does it do for that artist posting that out there? And I think that, social media has become a place where, especially on Twitter, it's either complaining or, you're giving an opinion. It's not too much that goes on outside of that unless you're selling a product. And so, man, I never want to be that person. No matter how much I dislike somebody, I never wanted to highlight that negative aspect of, who they are. I know for me, like Kobe was like
Second only to Jesus Christ in my life. I already know who Kobe was.
No.
Yeah.
Just super inspirational, especially as far as like work ethic and how I carry myself as far as just getting shit done. And so when it happened, it just didn't seem real. I know everybody says that. It didn't seem real. I think it's one of those things that's still kind of shaping my reality. I've been blessed to not have lost many people. Like pretty much all my family members are still alive. All my friends are still alive. So like my concept of death is still being shaped. I know that that'll change. The older and older I get. So when it happened, like I said, I find myself continually refreshing that Twitter timeline, and like I feel like I wanted to say something, but I didn't have like just the space to say it. And so the blog happened to be one of the best things for me to kind of get my ideas out. I sent you the letter to kind of edit it.
He didn't want to do what I told him, so I had to let him off light. One of the things I told you there was two ways to approach it. And I think one of them, the latter one, and the decision you went with was like, I'm just gonna let everything out here because I know it was important for you to say that and get it out of your system.
Right.
So I was like, yo, keep it in the letter format, keep it first person, keep it emotional. Just go ahead and say what you want to say.
And I know
like it's your blog, and
right.
And if I'm somebody that's reading that blog, I'm more attracted to that than you trying to temper or measure your thoughts.
Right.
Now, another thing I think about that comes with publishing, and I think about it in terms of social media as well. Like there's critique, and then there's actual negativity and hate. And one of the things that I always, we had a staff of writers, and one of the things that I always told them was, don't waste time talking about something that you don't like. Instead, talk about the things that you do like. Because one thing about the internet, and it's always been this way, it's easy to be negative.
Right.
And negative really will attract more people and a larger number of people than being positive will. And I ain't saying we got to walk around like everything is rainbows, but it's like, focus on the things that you care about and the things that you want other people to know about and you want to share, or put some positive energy out there. Don't just be another person being negative. It's so easy to be negative nowadays. Like super easy to be negative. And I kind of, like I feel bad to a certain degree that everybody is so negative and sarcastic and so sort of accepting that this is the way life has to be.
Yeah. And what it does with Twitter especially, I think that like through each social media, for me, I just use Instagram and Twitter mostly. I'm not really on Facebook. Snapchat. My little sister want me to make a TikTok.
Can you dance?
No,
You probably don't need a TikTok.
not at all, man. But I think that they say a lot about who you are and what you value. So not just what you tweet or what you retweet, but what you like.
Right.
So like if I post, I notice like if I post something like spiritual, biblical, people gravitate more to liking it because I like it, but I might not necessarily want to echo it and retweet it and share it with my audience, you know.
Okay.
And so I kind of look at the the concept behind like how do people interact, and I think you can learn a lot about somebody based off what they tweet. It's your thoughts, regardless of
You
if
can
it's a
place,
joke.
I read that
It's still a
somebody the other
dark.
day. It's
It's a
like
dark thought.
where they place value or like what they value. You can realize like a lot about a person by what they show they place value and stuff. And that social currency.
Yeah.
Like if you know, you know. Like I was just telling somebody about it on the way over here. I was having a phone call about it. I was like, dog, you don't realize that every little thing you do has currency
Hmm.
in the eyes of other people, whether it was the person who created the content or another member of the audience. Like everybody's paying attention. And I think it's actually cool that, and even though, I do things on Instagram, I'm actually A-okay with them taking away likes.
Hold on a second. Hey mom.
Hello.
Hey mom, I'm shooting a podcast. Can I call you back? All right. That's my thing. Is like always answer the phone for my mom.
Nah, I sent mine to voicemail. But I'm going to call her back in like 15 minutes. But I know if I get on the phone with her, she'll drag me down. Social currency, like everything has value.
Yeah, and I think
I think when you take away those likes, because Instagram, all of this stuff, man, is really screwing with people's heads. Like worrying about likes, worrying about going viral, like that shit. I'm an adult and I know better.
Yeah.
So that's why sometimes, like, even I'll step away. And I think everybody in this room, because you're creating things like that and you have to engage, sometimes it's like, dude, let me get away from this because this shit is depressing. Or it's got me in a funk or in a space where I don't want to be at.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yo, I just don't fool with it. Leave it alone.
I think it creates like a group think idea.
And I've never been a part of group things.
Me either. Where it's
So-
like this is how everyone thinks, and so this is how I'm gonna think. And I find it now where I'm not even going into details, where it's just best for me to just shut up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, this is the world. This is how everybody moving. This is how everybody thinking. Okay, cool.
That's when I hit the
Y'all got
unfollow
it.
button. That's when I hit the unfollow
Yeah.
button. Like, yo, that's not for me.
And I'm
Like you kind of showed your hand, and that's cool.
I'm known for the follow unfollow. I don't care. People know that. I probably done followed several listeners about 5 times because maybe your content at the time just wasn't for me. I know with
Right.
Twitter, like, Twitter is getting so loose with the porn. Just being transparent. Like if I come across that on my timeline, like, oh, I gotta unfollow. Like, because I'm in a space where I don't want to be out in public scrolling. And it's like, oh, back shots. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yeah, less of this. Like,
Maybe you shouldn't be opening up Twitter and Tumblr in public then.
it's like, yeah, less of this, freaky boy. Look, I had to tell one of my homies, he tweeted something, he changed his Abby, but I remember the name. I was like, bro, I said, man, you be retweeting some reckless stuff on the timeline. I had to unfollow. I didn't know that was you. He was like, oh, man, I'll get it together.
Well, nah, that's bad. I don't follow. I try not to follow people who do too much reckless stuff on there.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But
because I mean, it's you're consuming it. You're consuming it, and for me, I've taken so many social media breaks where I'm like, and I come back and I might fall into the same loopholes. It's like, I don't need to take a break from social media.
you
I
one
need
of
to-
those people who delete an app off of your phone, ain't you?
For sure. I need to.
Never felt the need to do that.
I need to change who I'm following.
I smoke cigarettes, so I clearly don't give a fuck about life or health. So I'll sit there and
Nah, you got to though.
I'll look at. I don't care. I'll look.
I used to do this. I used to put the Shopify app where Instagram was,
Okay,
and put my personal bank account app where Twitter was.
that's a valuable thing.
So you naturally remember where your apps are. So when it's
Right.
deleted off my phone, I'm about to go, let me go on Instagram, Shopify. Are you selling gear?
Right.
It's like, oh, let me get on Twitter. You got money?
It's making you think on a higher level.
Yeah, and so I think
It's
that's
like stop placing value on these little insignificant momentary things. And these are the goals that you set for yourself.
Mhm.
Remember, these are the goals that you set for yourself.
Right.
Don't get distracted by them.
Like I said, I'm older now, so I have more self control. It's a tool, so it's very beneficial if you use it properly. But it's all about what you're using it for, and like I said, what are you consuming? If you don't owe nobody a follow, kind of like you're talking about me answering the phone.
Mm,
You don't owe nobody. Now I will say that I think I do get bullied out of some follows. Like you be out in public with somebody. Man, you don't follow me back. Man, follow me back now. I haven't learned how to handle that one.
Nah, I don't have that problem. You must be too. That's what I say. You more friendly than I am.
Yeah, I had somebody like give me
have that
your
problem.
phone. Give me your phone. Like what you doing? Make you follow me back. It's like, all right.
That sounds like a girl's voice.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I don't have those problems. Shout out to my wife. I love you, dear. I don't have those headaches.
For sure. So yeah, man, I think that like I said, I know when we were talking about this podcast, what it looked like. I know it was supposed to be.
What are you hope to accomplish with this? And we're about to wrap it up
Yeah,
because
we
I
about to
want a
wrap it up.
cigarette. What do you
Nah,
want to
that's cool.
accomplish with this? Besides, you're doing this for a class.
I'm doing this for class partially. Yeah.
And you've been. I'm glad the class kind of forced your hand because you've been talking about it for a while. Beyond the class,
Yeah, and I told them, I said,
what do you plan to accomplish?
I've been talking about doing a
or wanna
podcast.
accomplish?
I've been talking about doing a podcast for over a year now, but like out of fear, I didn't do it. So for me, I want to highlight people like yourself and share your ideas with my audience, because I think that like the people that I plan on, having a conversation with help shape who I am.
Okay.
And so if they can kind of see, the backside, the backstory of, who my guests are, it can, hopefully inspire, hopefully they can get a nugget, a gem out of our conversation and apply it to their life. Something as simple as that. More constructive content,
Yeah.
rather than gossip.
Well, that's what I was about to say. It's like goes back to the same thing. It's like, what am I putting into the world?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what am I putting out there? Like, am I just giving people another product? Am I giving them negativity? Like, what am I putting into the world?
Right.
Like, and I always want to do something that's encouraging, inspiring, etc. for the next person. It may be 10 people, it may be 100, maybe 1,000, but it's like, if I can connect with somebody and give them something that makes their day better or something they can carry with them, then I'm good.
Right.
I'm good. Very good.
For sure. We're going to end it right there. That was perfect.
All right.
That last part. I appreciate you.
Hey, glad to be here.
You know what I'm saying? Being the,
Glad
first
to have
guest.
you here as a guest on the Kind of Famous podcast.
Yeah, Kind of Famous podcast, man. We appreciate you. We'll keep great content coming out. New clothes on the way.
New clothes on the way.
Yeah, new clothes on the way.
I'm going to get my shirt.
Yeah, you can get Gotty right. XL.
Get my shirt.
XL.
Yeah, XL, large, something like that. Okay.
Yeah, so we can get that together. Appreciate y'all listening, checking us out. Make sure you follow. Yeah, get your IG and Twitter.
I'm John Gotty on everything. Gotty. John Gotty.
No underscores?
Hey, baby, I got in at a good time. Like, I got my fucking name.
Man.
So I'm John Gotti. So Gotty.
I wish I had J Fields and no underscore.
Hey, man. Gotta know people.
Yeah. J Fields underscore, that's mine. Make sure you follow at John Gotti on all social media platforms, as well as at J Fields underscore. We appreciate you listening and checking us out. Yep.